So, instead of eating at my lunch break, I decided to watch the first episode of Squid Game Season 2. I have so many thoughts. I love this show, dude, but I do have some flaws with it, or my own opinions of it, but episode 1, dude. Okay, I'll try not have spoilers, but spoiler free. You're good. If you haven't seen it, this video is okay. 1, they brought the intensity right away. Well, I mean, it took a little bit to get there but in episode 1, there's intensity, which is great because the original show was quite intense when it got to a certain point, right? So I'm not saying what happens, where, when, anything, but it got me, like, I just couldn't look at anything else. I was just, like, amazed at what scene they were doing, and I'm happy to say I called what was gonna happen. Oh, yeah, humanity or not humanity or something. Anyways, there are some, it's like they retconned some things, though. So this isn't spoilers, I'm not gonna say what it is, but there's some things where I'm like, well, why wasn't that said in the original series? Or why wasn't this, like, explained more? So there's some downs, but a lot of ups so far. I feel like I need to go back and rewatch season 1 to see what they were doing cinematically, or, like, with their cameras, because in this one, I noticed so many zoom-ins. It was like, not a mockumentary and not a documentary, but it did seem like the cameraman was acknowledged at points, but it wasn't supposed to be. Like, it's not like we're actually watching someone with a camera, but it's a noticeable action that they're taking, like, multiple times, where it's like, oh, it's in a crowded place and we gotta zoom in onto our protagonist, and I'm like, did they do that in the original? I don't remember that. So it felt more, gritty or, like, down to earth, but it didn't even feel like super gritty. I don't know. It was like a controlled, clean grittiness, which makes no sense, but that's Squid Games for you. I don't know. I love the characterization of so many of these characters, right? Those that are not well off and have to participate in the games, and those that are the messenger to get them into playing the games and such. I'm very reactive to shows. Like, I get into it. I love this. So there were scenes where I was like digging my teeth in, going like, yes, this is so fucking great, like, ah, and you're like, that's a little psycho. Like, this is Squid Game. This is where people kill people for money and stuff. Like, calm down. But they do such a great job of making you care about these characters that you don't even remember their names. Like, I suck at names, but I'm like, the dude in the blue, the guy in the red, like, yeah, let's fucking go. And then there's, like, a sequence where there's a lot of homeless people and stuff, and that was a lot of fun, and how you can empathize and care about their characterization as well, even though you don't know their names either. And so they do a really good job at that. Now, I may not have explained things very well because I'm trying to keep it very vague. I said this was spoiler free. Maybe later I can do some scene analyses, because there are a couple of scenes that are very important and done very well, and I am interested in finding out why, cinematically, story-wise, acting-wise, why is this so impactful to people? Why are we drawn in? Why is it so important? And I think that analysis is really interesting and fun to do. It might take a while, because I've been wanting to do, like, video essays, but I'd actually have to sit down and do a video essay. So tell me if you are interested in hearing about these things. Honestly, I don't get much feedback besides, like, 3 people. So thank you for those few. But tell me, like, are you interested in hearing about my analyses of these different shows and different scenes? Would you want a scene analysis? Let me know. I just finished episode 3 of Squid Game Season 2. And boy, oh boy, its messages are so great because of how on the nose they are. Like, you think that there's free will in this, like, systemic oppression? No. Oh, you think you chose to be in these games and that there's freedom and that you have the choice? No. Like, we don't have the choice in our own, like, capitalistic societies that fucking push us down and, like, have healthcare fucked us over and stuff like that, right? Like, it's so poignant. Every time, at any point in history that you watch this, it's just like, it gets more and more real every single fucking second. Like, they already filmed this before some things happened, and now that it has, it blends so well. Now, this isn't spoilers, I'm not gonna say anything. This is stuff that you can see in the trailers, or you can kind of guess by, I guess, human nature, or what you can see nowadays in real life. But when you try and give an argument, and you go, here's proof, like, follow what I'm saying, or listen at least, you know, and you give that proof, and people still don't listen, or they boomerang even farther and go, fuck you, I'm gonna go against you, even though you've said valid points and stuff. Like, you can't... The cognitive dissonance on so many people. If there's one thing that I learned from communications, and also through my father, it's that a person is smart, people are dumb. This is Top from Big Bang. He's no longer in the band Big Bang. So far, he's been... I knew he was going to be such a great character, but he's... Oh my god, he's fucking wild, dude. I'm not even done with episode 6 yet, but... Character development, dude. Oh my god. I was literally that close to finishing the episode. The end of episode 6, dude. Oh my god. What can I say? There's so much. While it's very entertaining, and we get to see these characters develop and change, and become brutal and become so engrossed into these games, like, it's not a possibility that they're gonna fucking die. Let's take a step back and look at it from the point of view of, like, aliens looking at us on Earth. In, like, class struggle. You know, like, when it's the 1% going, like, oh, you guys should fight over our crumbs, and then they fight over going, like, it's immigrants' fault that I don't have a job, not the giant corporations that have created systemic issues that block you into a state of poverty your entire life. No. It's each other. I just finished season 2 without knowing it, and I was like, wow, the credits are still going without it going to the next episode. Oh my god. It's... Okay, let me get my thoughts together, but overall, it was good. So I was going to stop watching after this episode anyways, because I'm starting to get a migraine, but it's, I don't want to spoil anything, but it's very climactic, as you might guess. I didn't get my thoughts together. So let's have the hypothetical that there's only going to be 3 seasons. I don't know how many more they plan or want. I know the original creator was only going to do 1 season, but then he was like, money, which is very funny considering the show. But, some think, like, the second in any show or series or any 3 kind of things, like, the second is not the best, because it doesn't have, like, a clear ending, because it needs to continue on into the 3rd one, right? And I can definitely agree with part of that in the sense, like, the ending, again, it ended earlier than I thought it was going to, and there's more blanks than there are answers, and we finally get to see something new from the games that we never got to see in the first season. So it's like, oh, we're finally getting fed this new it's done? Oh, okay, sure. Again, not spoiling, but as expected, a lot of characters that you meet die. And some are just like, you know it's going to happen, and you're like, yeah, this is very thematic, or this is going to propel another character on their journey. But some just felt like, just so pointless. And that's also the point, right? That's very thematic in that sense, where it's like, it doesn't fucking matter. The poor dying for these rich people, like, it doesn't fucking matter. They're there for the games, they're there for the entertainment. If you've seen Cabin in the Woods, it's kind of like that with the giants, and just they don't fucking care. Some of them were just like, god damn it. damn, that person died in the not lamest way, but it's just like, because it just happens. And it's funny, as an actor, I'd be like, yeah, I'm in Squid Games. I died in a dumb way. Now, I did not expect to get sucked in as hard as I did on this show for the second season, because I was like, oh, I'll just like kind of casually watch it. I'll maybe like one every day. And then today, since it's the weekend, I was like, fuck it, we're going all in. But damn, like, yeah, I think I just like violence. Whoops. Because I also like Weak Hero, and like whenever I read books, it's always about fucking World War II or something. So I don't know what it is, but I guess I really enjoy this type of like commentary on our society through these types of lenses, right? It's a very clear point that is easy to understand. You would say that for, like, you know, Homelander or something in The Boys, but apparently a whole half of the viewers didn't fucking know what that was about either. So I recommend you watch Squid Game Season 2 so that way we can talk about it. Now, I think there's something, like, my favorite part and the part that I hated the most. It's like it's a double-edged sword, but the more we get to learn about each character and their position and their role in the games. If we compare the group of players in Season 2 versus Season 1, like, yeah, they follow, like, a similar trend of, you know, after the red light, green light, they go, like, please don't kill us, like, please let us home. You know, they did that whole begging sequence again. It's not really spoilers, it's kind of expected. Sure, got that, right? So that makes sense. But because we're going farther and we're pushing this idea that the show has brought up, and like class struggle and what money really does for people, and it is not the same group as the beginning. Now, Michelle, obviously it's a different group of people, so they're going to react to the games in different ways. Yeah, I know, but you would think that if you put a group in a similar situation, they might tend to act the same way regardless, right? But there are some differences in, you know, the games and, like, not the rules. And again, I don't want us to get into spoiler, but there's more to it in Season 2. Sure, I got that. But, you know, it's like when you don't have to re-explain your original idea if you've already done it in a previous paragraph, in a previous video, in a previous season. You can kind of skip over that because you're like, the audience knows that. So we're going to go into these more complex ideas, right? Whereas if you just watched it first and you have those complex ideas, you're like, whoa, what about the simpler, like, parts? And that's what's happened here. It's developed farther than what Season 1 did, obviously. What I like is that we get these more developed, in-depth ideas like that. What I don't like is there's that sense of the more I know, the more I know. And it's not up to my imagination, right? Like this secret society of blah, blah, blah. Like, that's crazy. What, this underground, like, black market, whoa. And then you get to see, like, the day-to-days and, like, the integral process that everyone goes through. And it's just, like, it takes away the pizzazz a little. And so getting to see behind the curtain a little, you know, it humanized some characters that it's good that they're humanized, but I also, it didn't feel like it was more needed. I don't know, because it's like, it's also thematic for some humans to not be humanized, you know? Some things I really like. Acting, great. Always love that. We get to see more of this world, right? This story, obviously. I'd hope that would happen in Season 2 as well, right? Like that. I like how the protagonist changed from this very naive man in the beginning. You know, in the trailer they have it shown his photo, he smiles in Season 1, and then Season 2 he's like, I'm gonna fucking destroy this place, right? And love that. Great. And they're really towing the line of, like, how do I explain this without spoiling? The hypocrisy amongst everyone. Even if you're trying to do good, you can still get called out for kind of doing the same thing that the bad guys are. And then again, we have that grayness in life. Another thing that I liked is while a lot of the overarching ideas are very clear and very in your face, they're obvious messages, the communication between certain characters is subtle enough, and there's enough dramatic irony, so where the audience knows something but the characters don't, that when there is this, like, a conversation amongst things, the audience can go like, you're kind of going, you're turning into something that you may have originally not wanted. And that's really great, because while someone might be trying to do good, you can see how they can slip and fall into these darker or more brutal ideas. Some things I disliked, or maybe just didn't really care for, or whatever. The subplot that felt like it was kind of just dropped, or at least it just wasn't as developed as I had hoped. Like, there is a thing that happens that I swear the actors just didn't get to meet the rest of the crew and the other actors, right? Like, they had their own show going on. And it's just like, I know that you're connected, but my production brain goes like, okay, you're on this set, they're on that set, you're at this location at this different time, and you never get to meet, like, your other actors. So I think that's kind of funny, and it just, I don't know, there could have been more from this subplot, but I understand that it's going to wait until season 3. I get it. Some smaller things. I talked about how there's a lot of zoom-ins at random points. That happens more in some other sequences than, like, the majority of it, so it's not, like, a huge deal. And I was just like, I had forgotten if it happened in season 1. I still haven't checked if it did, but there were some editing, like, when the money is falling, we get to see, like, a whole bunch of different people's reactions. Well, that's fine. I remember that from season 1. But the zoom-ins just kind of, like, got me off guard. I was like, what? But another thing I will have to say in the next video. There are points that diegetically things are said. In the universe, in the story, things are said. And they're not followed up on. But then other times, they are followed up on. And so you're like, what's up with that? And you're like, okay, well, maybe someone said something and it was a lie. Or maybe it's them being manipulated, and you as the viewer get to recognize that they are being manipulated, but the people being manipulated don't get to really acknowledge that. Maybe that's it. And I'm like, it doesn't feel like that. It doesn't feel like a message of, like, see, look, we're manipulating them. Obviously. It's like saying something so the audience doesn't get upset that it wasn't said, even though that there weren't any repercussions for people who did something else against it or for it. I'm trying to say this without spoiling. Might I add, she is one of my favorite characters. So, Hyun-ju, played by Park Sung-hoon, he does a fantastic job. He is not trans in real life. He is playing a trans woman, and that's a whole conversation that has been had with the director about how that there's just not a large LGBT community in Korea because a lot of that is still illegal over there, all that kind of stuff, so they weren't able to actually get a trans actor. I can get in more detail about this kind of stuff, but I think they do a phenomenal job, and she's amazing. Can't say more than that, but their character, there's a lot of depth, even from the first episode we get to see her, and the contradictions that every person holds is obviously shown through her. Now, while this show is obviously very political, I also do enjoy it to just view and enjoy it. And I think it toes the line of giving a clear message while also being entertaining, which you can also say is troubling in its own way. We can have a conversation about that. And that's one of the things that I love about this art form, that you can have all these conversations about this. Like, I want to do this stuff. Not killing people in Squid Game style, but I want to make movies and I want to make shows. I want to use this art form of, visuals to tell a story. And I think the story that they're telling is very important, but I think how they do it is just as important. And I think that they're doing a great job. Again, y'all should watch this so that way I can talk about it without no spoilers.